Hello, my name is Phoebe Craig, and in this video I will be discussing the importance of incorporating technology in the classroom to cater for a generation of digital natives. I will be exploring 4 open source programs that show the effectiveness of technology within a learning and teaching environment. The 4 programs I will be using will be Google Sites, Stikes, Scratch, and Word Clouds. I will show you some examples of how to use them authentically in a classroom, with ranging abilities, backgrounds, and teaching styles. The world today is driven by technology, and the current generation of students will be even more reliant on technology in the future. Current students think and process information differently. Therefore, we as educators must be constantly evolving our knowledge by engaging in new skills and programs to be able to authentically incorporate it into our classrooms. Technology gives students opportunities to interact with the world around them in new and unique ways. They have access to limitless information, new forms of collaboration, and new styles of learning. This allows students of all abilities to be engaged and supported in their learning. The new Victorian curriculum highlights the importance of students being technologically literate through the technologies learning area. This has a focus on expanding how students use and see technology. Google Sites is a wonderful online program that helps students and educators create their own websites. This can be used for both student learning and for planning purposes. One example of how I used this in my classroom is through the Class Wow Word website, which was for students to add vocabulary that they had found in their reading to extend their writing. During reading time, students would add their words to sticky notes, and then after, they would go onto the website using the bit.ly link and add their words. In the 6 weeks that this was implemented, the site was seamlessly incorporated into the literacy block, and students' use of vocabulary increased. Google Sites can also be used for planning purposes. This Google site is an entire limericks lesson up on the board for the students to see and connect with and refer back to. When students take responsibility for their learning and can see their work, they become engaged, and this type of resource fosters that because they can work from home or in other classrooms. The second open sourced program is Stikes. This is an animation program that uses lines and circles with nodes to create joins. Like stop motion, through slides, students create animation. Stikes can also be used as an alternative presentation method for students to show their learning. I have seen this used in a grade 5 classroom as a student used this to reenact the Eureka blockade at the end of his Australian Histories unit. This program can also be used as a learning tool for students to consolidate their knowledge. In my science lesson on the body, groups were given a part of the skeletal system to recreate and show them movements in the bones. This is an example of the hand group, who used videos and pictures to base their animation. Their video shows how bones move when you give a thumbs up. The students had to problem solve their way through the program, and by the end they wanted to make whole scenes. I learned that this resource is more than just a way of presenting a story and can be used in a variety of ways across the curriculum. This can be used across the school with ranging abilities, but would need some initial scaffolding. Scratch is a child-friendly coding language where students use built-in commands to make characters move. Scratch allows students to use higher order thinking and problem-solving skills as they have to choose the correct commands to create sequences that make sense. Scratch needs to be scaffolded. There is vocabulary in the pre-made code that may affect EAL students or students with specific learning needs. I would recommend starting students off with Scratch Junior, as this is a much more visual representation of coding. In my classroom, students were very familiar with this style of coding due to games that used this same style of framework. I used Scratch for students to show how they were successful in their shapes and transformation unit. Students used their knowledge of angles and measurement to create 2D shapes. Students enjoyed the open nature of the code, as they do a lot of open tasks within the maths units. We started by exploring the code together to make a shape, and then they experimented with the code themselves, which they picked up very quickly and mostly without assistance. This resource can be used in literacy for retells, history for reenactments, and maths for transformations. WordCloud.net is a web-based program that takes a collection of words and creates a visual representation of the popularity of those words. WordClouds complement John Hattie's visual learning approach to education, as it is student-centered and made. It caters for a variety of abilities and year levels, and it is group supported and anonymous. Word clouds can be utilised for pre and post tests to find out students' knowledge, lesson reflections for teacher's own evaluation, or a tuning in task, for example, a brainstorm of language used in a persuasive piece. Each week, I used word clouds as the students' reflection on an episode of Behind the News. Students would type their one-word reflection into a shared Google Doc, and then together we would create the word cloud on the interactive whiteboard and discuss common themes. The cloud would get displayed, and students really enjoyed seeing the summary of the episodes in a visual way so that they could see common themes reoccurring in the media. Students began to use word clouds independently for collecting free time options and even in their projects. As you can see, technology can be incorporated authentically and effectively into classrooms using a variety of programs for the benefit of students and educators.